Howdy there. Today we're going to be playing with the new Nomad Okavango Safari Palette. She is a stunner. Now, I haven't touched this palette yet, haven't even swatched it, which is absolutely killing me because I'm so excited to mess around with this. But here she is. Oh, isn't she beautiful? So I thought today we could swatch her out, maybe create two different looks. These greens are calling my name, but I also want to try a neutral look, so let's see what we can do together. But before we get too deep into this palette, if you're new here, hi, my name is Michaela. I absolutely love eyeshadow. I'm definitely no expert, but I love to create, I love to play, and if you love eyeshadow, stay tuned and let's play together. So while I'm getting all my stuff together here, I thought we could talk a little bit about Nomad. Nomad Cosmetics is a indie brand, indie meaning independent. I always thought indie meant like overseas kind of thing. No, it means independent. Duh. But the cool thing about Nomad is they are a destination-based cosmetics company. So they base their palettes and their makeup products and cosmetics off of different destination places. And this is the Okavango Delta, Botswana is the destination this palette is based off of. It came in this absolutely beautiful box. I have a hard time getting rid of this box because it's just so dang pretty. So it's just kind of on display for a little bit until I can accept it and throw it away. But isn't she beautiful? Just the packaging, and it came with this little card. This is my first Nomad palette. I've had my eye on their company for a couple years now, but full disclosure, I actually didn't purchase this palette. I won it in their Instagram giveaway, and I'm just so utterly grateful because now this has inspired me to go and buy like 800 of their palettes. But they send this little card that comes in with the palette and just kind of give you some background as to the Okavango Safari palette inspiration. Very, very cute, very awesome. But also what I love about Nomad and why I have followed them for so long is they actually are now a certified member of the 1% for the Planet Foundation. I believe it is a foundation or an organization, because with each palette they donate a percentage of the sales to a different organization that assists throughout the world with different things, and I just think that is so cool. So when you're purchasing from Nomad, not only are you getting the palette and purchasing and supporting an indie brand, but you're also supporting different organizations around the world. So one more thing before we get into the swatches, this has the cutest little embossings. I'm going to go ahead and show you the embossings real quick before I tap into it because it makes me so sad. I hope they don't disappear quickly, but let's find out. Okay, so here's some close-ups so you guys can see the embossings and the designs of these colors before I destroy them. But oh my goodness, aren't these just absolutely adorable? That Nile Crocodile shade, but here is all the embossings. So this one is Towering Giraffes. It's definitely a lighter shade, so for me this would be a transition shade. Let's see if we can darken that up just a little bit, but it's just a really nice transition color. Here is Leaping Lechuas. I'm butchering that and I apologize. Ooh, that is beautiful. There we go. Hopefully you guys can see this. Elusive Leopards. What a cute name. Beautiful, warm, neutral color there. And Roaring Lions. This is one of those swirl colors. Let's see. Ooh, beautiful. That's going to make my blue eyes pop a lot. Okay, this one is called Pack of Wild Dogs. These names are so cute. Sorry, I'm terrible at swatching. Pack of Wild Dogs. Morimi. Again, I apologize for butchering. Morimi Game Reserve. Ooh, I love this color. It's like that, like, pukey greenish brown. I'm a sucker for that one. This one is Keystone Termites. Ooh, that is beautiful. I hope you guys can see that. That shimmer right there. Vumbura Plains. Oh, yes. We've got to play with this one today, most definitely. Okay, here is Nile Crocodile. This is also one of those like swirl ones. Ooh, that's got a beautiful shift to it. Oh, so pretty. Chief's Island. Yes, I love greens. Oh, we're definitely gonna have to create a look with these right in here. Crash of Rhinos. Oh, I just love these names. Crash of Rhinos. It's a nice cool tone brown. Migrating Zebras. This is one of those swirl colors. Ooh, look at, oh, we're gonna have to play with that one too. Rumbling Elephants. Nice dark, almost black. If it's not black, it's almost black. Mighty Buffaloes. Ooh, I love that bronzy color. And Honking Hippos. How cute. Yes, oh, those are beautiful. So there's the whole palette swatched out. We've got some beautiful colors, and I'm very excited to mess around with this today. We're gonna have to do two whole different, I need more eyes. I definitely need. Looking at the swatches, I think we're gonna have to do two different looks today. I think on this eye, we're gonna do a more like neutral, cooler brown tone using that last row. And then this side, we're definitely gonna have to tap into the greens because I'm a sucker for greens and they're calling out to me and we just have to do it. So let's go ahead and get started with that cool tone brown side, this side. So now while I'm doing these looks, I have two different eye shapes. I'm sure you have noticed it by now, and if you haven't, we'll go ahead and point it out and make it super obvious so that way you can't ever unsee it. But so this eye is more of an olive shape, and I do have a slight hood. You can kind of see it here. But this one is definitely more of an olive shape. It's still on the rounder side, but is more slender than this eye when you're comparing it. This eye is definitely more round, and it is a little more what I call buggy or bulgy, if you will, and it has like an extra crease in it. So not only is it hooded, but I have like an extra crease that this one doesn't have. You can kind of see it right there. So because the eyes are two different shapes, it also causes my eyebrows to be slightly different. I have battled the different eyebrows because this one always looks raised and more arched. No matter what I do with them, they're different. They're just different. So we have to accept that, and hopefully you can. But today, it's something I've always been self-conscious about, but if I have to accept it, so do you. So here we go. Because of my eye shapes being different, I do my best to kind of mimic the same kind of pattern for both eyes because I feel like it balances them out and makes them look a little more even and not so, round and slender. Typically what I do is a lighter mid-tone shade in the crease, blend it out with a transition shade, darker outer corner shade, and then light across the lid. Works for me. If, occasionally I'll do a halo eye, but not today. We'll get to there on another day. But the best thing I can recommend for you is look up tutorials and look up ideas for your eye shape. Everybody's eye shape is different. I know that when I first started following Instagram and YouTube tutorials, most people that were doing these tutorials had like an almond shaped eye, and no matter what I did and followed them step by step by step, it never turned out the way theirs turned out, and I could not figure out why. And then one day I stumbled upon the fact that there's hooded eyes and round eyes and deep set eyes, which is something I also struggle with, is the deep set eye, because it makes my brow bone right here jut out further than my eyelashes. It's interesting. But figure out your eye shape and follow tutorials based on that. Tutorials not based on your eye shape are great for color inspiration, but it might be frustrating if it's not working out for you, so that's my recommendation to you. So for me today, I treat them as if they're both round so that I can get them to match, and this is what I have found works best for me, looks best for me, and what I prefer to do. So without further ado, let's make an eye look. So for my crease shade, I think we're going to tap into Crash of Rhinos. This one down here. If you're looking at the whole bottom, if you're looking at the whole bottom row here, this is definitely more cool tone leaning. You definitely have some warmer browns up here and some warmer colors and then more neutral colors. But this one I feel is neutral / cool tone leaning. So I'm going to kind of stay in this row for this eye. So for the crease shade, I'm going to go into this one. And again, for me, how I like to diffuse my crease, I will use a fluffy blending brush. So this is definitely more of a wider fluffy brush. It gives me more coverage, but because I do have deep set eyes, I have a very large pronounced brow bone, so I can't put it just in my crease because otherwise you will barely see it. So I do have to bring it up onto my brow bone. So I prefer a wider brush to get more coverage and get it up onto that brow bone. Also, something else I love about this palette is it comes with a really large mirror. So it makes working in it so nice. Okay, so I've picked up that Crash of Rhino shade, and I actually, because of my hooded eyes, my jutted brow bone, I actually lift my eyebrows. It's recommended by a lot of people not to do that, just because when you relax your eye, the placement is off. I have experimented enough with my eyeshadow to know exactly where to place it. So if you're a beginner, I recommend just doing it with your eyes open and straightforward, because that's how you're going to be looking at people. So that's how you can tell what they're going to see. But for my case today, I'm actually going to lift my eyebrows so I can get it up onto that brow bone here. And I'm just going to kind of put this in. Oh, this is beautifully pigmented. It's not overly pigmented so that I overdo it when I tap my brush, but it's not so light that it's going to take me an hour to build this up. But I'm just kind of doing like back and forth motions here. Some people call this like a windshield wiper motion. But I'm just going to bring this up here. And I'm, again, bringing it up onto my brow bone so that way people can actually see it when I'm looking straight on. Because if I put it just in my crease and slightly below it, you'll never see it. I'm going to just tap into that a little bit more. Just want to build that up a little bit more. And this is blending wonderfully. It's not leaving any harsh lines or edges, and it's not uneven. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that. It is light on camera, but it is showing up pretty well in natural lighting, so I'm going to go ahead and stick with that. Something that I absolutely love using, this is not affiliated or anything by that means, it's just one of my holy grails, is this Sigma switch. It is filthy. You can see it's brush cleaning day, sorry. But I actually use this to get some eyeshadow off the brush. And that way I can use this brush again without mixing any pigment or color. But I always use that in between switching shades. It's amazing. Okay. Next up here, we're going to go ahead and deepen up that outer corner. I'm happy with this. I don't feel like I need an additional shade there, so we're going to go ahead and deepen up the outer corner. I'm going to go with the darkest shade here, and it's called Honking Hippo. Going in with that outer corner shade, I prefer a denser, more precise brush. Since it is such a dark color, I need it to go exactly where I put it. So I prefer a little bit denser and smaller. Something like this is what I prefer. Let's see, there we go. You can see it's more tightly packed than our crease brush was. This was our crease brush, sorry. So you can see this one is softer. It has a lot of give to it. That's what makes the blending a lot easier. This one is stiffer up here at the top. It's not as flexible, so it's great for packing in that color in a very specific place. So we're going to use this one for that outer corner, that Honking Hippos. And again, for my eye shape, I like to make a C right here, so it kind of touches along this lower lash line right here and comes up into the crease and kind of creates a C shape so that it pulls it this way. So I'm going to just tuck this in here and then pull it down like this. And it's okay if it gets a little messy and it overflows a little bit. We're going to clean it all up. So I'm just kind of filling in that socket where it comes down and then pulling it over. It is so hard not to jump to the other eye. We're just going to kind of blend this out here and then just kind of fill in this little gap that I've created from that C shape. So it's a little bit softer there, but it's still all dark here in the outer corner. Because we're going to tap in some shimmer here. Okay. Use my Sigma switch. And then I am going to go into a little bit of a fluffier brush. This one is still pointed, but it's a little bit fluffier than what we just used, but it's pointed, so it's going to keep it precisely where I put it ultimately. And I'm just going to tap into that color just ever so slightly and just kind of clean up the patchiness in this. And it was not the eyeshadow that's patchy, the formula, it's me. I did use an eye primer before I started off camera. It was a Milani eye primer, but again, my eyes are complicated. They've got really thick veins on them and they're very textured and wrinkly. I have mature skin at 32. It's super. It's messy. That's okay. We will clean it up when we are ready to clean it up when we do our base makeup. Okay. I'm at a crossroads. I love shimmer. Sometimes I use 2 shimmers, sometimes just 1 shimmer, but I really want to use a lot of shimmer. So we're going to go 2 shimmers today. So the first shimmer I'm going to tap into is this Mighty Buffalo shade right here. We're going to put that one as like a middle, and then I really want to use this one too, so we'll put that on the majority of the lid. But for right now, let's go in with Mighty Buffalo. Different shimmers, I'll either use a brush or my finger. Both work perfectly fine. I do find that my finger sometimes picks up more pigment and applies it a little smoother, but for the sake of today, on this particular Mighty Buffalo shade, we're going to test it out. I like flat, skinny brushes to really pack it on and really pick up that color. So let's go with this one on that Mighty Buffalo. I'm going to use this to kind of transition between the next shimmer we're using and this matte color that we did. So I'm going to use my brush and just kind of pack it right out here. My brush is not wanting to pick that up. Okay, just kidding. We're going to use our finger. It's not the formula, it's me. Everything is blending and applying. Yep, see, it was me. It was me. It was me. All I could think of when I say it was me is Jim Carrey from Liar Liar. It was me in the elevator. Okay, so that was beautiful. I just want to put a little bit more because like I said, I have a thing about shimmer. It's stunning. But ultimately what I'm doing is I'm using it as a transition between this darker outer corner shade into our next shade. So you can see it right there. And it is very pretty. It's a very softer, subtle shimmer. And I absolutely love it. Okay, so now let's go into the Migrating Zebras. I am just so excited. Okay, here we go. Are we ready for this? I don't know. Oh, that is such a pretty color. Sorry, I'm blocking your view here. All right. What do we think so far? I think it looks really pretty. I really like that silver color. And I'm kind of overlapping it a bit into that brown shimmer, just so that way it kind of all overlaps and looks a little more cohesive. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's really cute. Okay, so now we're going to go into the lower lash line. I typically on the lower lash line like to follow the pattern on the top with mattes. I don't like shimmers on my lower lash line. Some satins are okay, but I typically stick to the mattes. So the matte that we used was Honking Hippos. So I'm going to tap back into that with this brush. This is from e.l.f. You can kind of see the shape there, but I've just put some pigment there on the end. And I'm just going to run that along my lower lash line just to kind of give it some definition. And I used to just run black eyeliner through my waterline, but that just looks so harsh on my aging eyes. So I will typically run this, and I'll just run it to about the outside edge of my pupil. I don't like to carry it all the way in because then it kind of drags it down. And then I just like to connect it to that darker shade on the outer corner that we did on the top. And I think that looks pretty good. I think now we need to dip into the green side and do my other eye. We'll come back and do mascara and finish up the look. But let's jump into this eye real quick. Okay, so for the green, I'm really wanting to use both these shimmers, kind of the same way that we did both of these shimmers. Because again, I'm a sucker for shimmers and I like them both and I can't decide which one I want to use. So we're going to use them both. So I'm thinking we're going to use this guy for the crease shade. And then we will probably use Chief's Island here for the outer corner to darken up. If it's not quite dark enough, we'll throw some more of this guy in there just to make it a little bit darker. And then we're going to go into these two on the lid. And I'll just use a lot of the same brushes. That Sigma switch allows me to do that, which is pretty amazing. Again, I'm not trying to sell you on the Sigma switch, but I kind of am. It's amazing. It extends the time that I have between brush washing, which I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but instead of washing my brushes like every weekend, now I do it like every other weekend. But again here, I am lifting my eyebrow to make sure I get it into that crease and then dropping my eye and making sure that I'm dragging it up onto my brow bone. Because again, when my eyes are closed, if I just put it in the crease, you will never see it. So we're putting it right there so you can see it. And I'm tapping back into the pigment just a little bit more, just so that I can bring it up a little bit more onto this brow bone here. This is a beautiful, like, baby poop green shade. I don't know why I would describe that as beautiful, but it is. It's beautiful. And again, this is blending so nice. No harsh lines, very little effort. Like, that is stunning. It just So smooth, so easy. I'm in love. Going into Chief's Island, that matte green. I'm gonna kind of throw this out here. And again, a lot of shadows look like they go on me patchy. I have fought this for years and years and years. It's even worse when I don't use any kind of primer, but it's actually just my eyelids. I have heavy veins that stick out, and I don't know if you can see them. Hopefully you can, but I have heavy veins that stick out on my eyes. They're very textured, very crepey, if you will. And so this formula is not patchy at all. It is literally just my skin. If you have similar problems, eye primers help a lot. You can buy an eye primer specifically, or you can use concealer. For me, concealer is a little too heavy and makes my eyelids just kind of cakey after a couple of hours. I just use the Milani eye primer or the Ulta Matte eye primer. But again, it's not the formula at all. It's just my skin. But I'm just doing that C shape again and just kind of filling in this middle part right here. But I like to bring it out just a little bit so you can actually see it. Because again, with my hooded eyes, once I close my eyes and look straight on, a lot of this disappears. So I pull it out just a little bit so you can actually see it. Okay, going in with that Nile Crocodiles shade. And we're gonna just touch this over the green here. And I'm not going to go all the way into the green, I'm just touching it. Just so that they slightly overlap so that it's a smooth transition between the colors. But I want the outside to stay matte and dark, so that it kind of hides that part of my eye. The point of the color scheme is the darker outer corners create like a shadow effect, which is meant to hide the eye, so that it kind of just pulls my eye like this instead of keeping them round. Halo eyes work really good for my eyes, but sometimes I feel like they can make them look a little too bulgy at times. Again, just kind of work on finding what you like and what works for you, and this is what works for me. Okay, going into Keystone Termites. That color is just beautiful. I love me a yellow green. It blends into that Nile Crocodile shade really well. It does have some fallout. You can see that here. More than likely it's just because I'm using my fingers to apply this. That happens a lot. I don't do my base makeup until I'm done with my eyes for this particular reason, because I can just grab me a little wipe here and just kind of wipe that off, and it doesn't disturb the rest of my makeup. So if fallout's a problem for you, probably stick to your brush and spray it with some setting spray and apply it. I just really prefer to use my finger when it comes to shimmer shades, and because my eyes are so textured, it has a hard time gripping. But definitely you can use a setting spray and apply it with a brush. But here is that upper lid. I think it looks really, really great, very pretty. Let's hit that lower lash line. We're going to use that same brush. And I'm going to use Chief's Island, which was that matte green that we used on the outer corner here, just to kind of keep the look cohesive. And just make sure it connects with that outer corner color. All right, I think I'm happy with that. Hey guys, I'm back. So as far as my base makeup, literally all I did was put on some powder foundation, because here in Arizona, it's like 185 degrees outside and I'm melting anyways. So nothing major going on there. I did put on my mascara, and so here are the finished looks. I'll go ahead and cover up one eye so you can take a look at it. And these turned out so good. The shimmers are beautiful. As far as cleaning up the outer corner, all I did was use a Q-tip and just kind of wipe it up. I keep it pretty simple around here, but this is an exciting palette. I absolutely love it. Like I said, I followed Nomad for many years, and they've put out really colorful palettes that just quite aren't up my alley. At the time, I have found myself venturing out and trying a lot more colorful palettes, a lot more colorful eye looks. Green, haha. When I used to be just brown and brown only. So when they came out with this palette, I just was so excited, and even more excited that I was able to win this, and now I want to buy every single one of their palettes. The formula, guys, is great. Like I said, this is the only Nomad palette I have, so I have nothing to compare it to as far as older formulas, but all of the mattes that we use, I mean, we used quite a few shades. We used 1, 2, three, four shades from the bottom, four shades from the middle row. We didn't touch the top row yet, but we used a fair amount of mattes and shimmers, and the mattes applied beautifully. They blended beautifully. They left no harsh lines. It was wonderful. The shimmers are a little bit more on the dry side compared to some other formulas that I have used, but they still applied very easily. They're very, very pigmented. There's a bit of fallout, but fallout is not a problem for me because I do my base makeup last. If it's a problem for you, you might want to just kind of keep an eye on that. But as far as this palette goes, I absolutely love it. I'm a sucker for green eyeshadow, and this gives me every shade of green. And there's a perfect amount of mattes and shimmers in this palette, and it's my color story. Neutrals and greens. This is my color story. So this is a definite win for me. I'm very, very impressed with this palette. And I'm definitely interested in buying a couple more of their palettes at this point. Hope you guys had a great time with me here today. I appreciate you spending some time with me. And if you have a favorite Nomad palette, drop it in the comments below. Maybe I can go ahead and pick one of them up and we can do some fun looks together. But that'll be it with me today. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thanks for stopping by. Oh crap. Forgot I had the swatches on my arm and they've all blended together on my legs. I must say it's not a very pretty color.